everyone, and welcome to this walkthrough of the Textguides with me and Mr. RJTV. Yeah, get some flames. Hey buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, bro?
I'm doing fine. So it's time to go through the Club Oceania Tournament text guide. So we're going to go through Rookie, Pro and Expert and Master Division just as normal. And before we start, do not forget to hit that subscribe button on the channel here. Also, do not forget to jump over to It's RJ TV and hit subscribe button there as well. And we're going to try to go over everything. You will see in the video description down below. And if you kind of like, okay, I don't care about hole number 1, I want to listen to hole number 2 instead. And you will see the direct link to the talk about hole number 2 in the video description down below. If you do want to be able to be in and compete to win some gems, you can check out the video that it says in the title description, competition time. You will have to guess how many birdies I will get with my main account in Master Division through the tournament, and 5 winners will get 1200 gems. So, okay, I think we're going to get started here directly, and we do have like a mix of hole. First and foremost, I want to ask you, RJ, how do you feel about these holes that we're going to play?
I'm really excited. Two of my favorite holes are in this are in this tournament, so I'm really excited to play. I'm glad they brought them back.
Boom, awesome. So then I'm very excited. Pay attention if you're listening to. There are a lot of tips that is coming up. If you do have any questions, make a comment in the comment section down below. Yeah, so hole number 1, par 4. I think we can go for green here. I want to hear, how do we play this one?
This is a shot, especially since I'm covering rookie, where you can easily get onto the green in one. Being it's a par 4, that means eagle opportunity right off the bat. We generally in rookie have favorable winds. They're not too strong, but you know, neutral at best. So I would take the white line with my extra mile. We'll remember we have lower level extra miles. Even if you have an upper level extra mile, you might just need to watch your top spin a little bit. But I would go with a power ball, and I would blast that ball to hit the island right where you see that first square on the island, and then the top spin should plow you through the rough. And if everything works great, you will go right onto the green for a nice easy putt or a possible chip. If for whatever reason we don't have a favorable wind or you don't have the club to go, I would simply just say the black line is a very safe line, but I would also call that the birdie line instead of the eagle line.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And we go up to Pro, Expert and also Master. If we take Pro and Expert first, you will be able to reach to the island with crosswind. And also when it comes to tailwind for the second tee. Master, you will have to have some type of tailwind, otherwise you will not be able to reach for the island. I do have my hopes that we will get that type of wind, otherwise this hole is going to be just a, I would say, boring birdie hole. To just play ourselves up to the right and then try to chip it in from close range. The thing that we'll need to have in mind is to not use too much topspin here. It's like it's a big green, which means like we have a lot to play on. But if we reach like just to the beginning of the green or to the end of the green, we will have a putt which is impossible to make, even though we max overpower our putt. So I would say somewhere in between 3 to 5 bars of topspin, and then use overpower instead to kind of give you that more distance that is needed. So instead of going without overpower and going with max topspin, if you do have a club that has like 6-7 bars of topspin, so take away a couple of bars, use overpower instead, so you're not like bouncing either like too far or just getting on to the green. If you're going too far, you risk going out of bounds as well. But technicalities really. But we should absolutely try to go for the island if we're having the wind for it, otherwise play it safe. Hole number 2, Gokasho Bay on like Asia Pacific, tour number 3 and tour number 8. So it's a par 5. Can we bag the albatross here?
Definitely, because a rough bump is in play, and I feel anytime there's a rough bump, you should be able to get within about 1 or 2 yards of that hole, and sometimes you're going to have a drop. What I like to do is I like to follow that black line. So your ball is going to first make contact with the green where you see the first black line, black square. I use a side spin ball here. I put full left side spin on, top spin, and a little bit of curl. Depending on what club you have, you might have to full curl it. If you have one of the lower level extra miles that don't have the maturity to have the full curl yet, that will put you up towards the top, I believe maybe just a little north of the black box there, setting you up for a beautiful second shot. Use that rough bump and get yourself an albatross or an eagle. Nice start if you get two eagles. What do you say?
That would be really good. It's like, if we could order that, I would take that absolutely. I think like the black line is definitely the way to play it. It doesn't really matter which division you're actually playing in the tournament. The white line is there if we are from, especially from the second and from the 30, if we're having a very difficult headwind, because then we will be having a trouble to get over the rough, because there is a big piece of rough to go over on the right side. But having some type of just a small amount of headwind or like crosswind or just tailwind, then we have no problem to reach over. The thing to have in mind is like while bouncing out over according to the black line is that it could put you in between clubs, and so go either short or go long. It's like we do either want to play with our long iron in max distance or the wood club in minimum distance. Those are kind of like the two ways that we want to play it there. I would go with a power ball, like playing from the second or from the 30, which means like a Titan or a Kingmaker. Maybe in Master, if we're having some crazy tailwind, then I would go with a Bandera actually, to give ourselves some room with less wind for our second shot. But definitely an albatross hole. I like this one big time. So hole number 3, another one of the Casio Bay. I call this a birdie hole, but is there a way to make an hole in one here?
Absolutely, and I have done it in the past in a tournament, taking the blue line.
Yeah, it's blue. 100%, 100% blue. Thanks.
Yes, taking the blue line. I go with no spin. I really like a sniper here because you get the awesome ball guide. But if all you have is a Viper, I would say no spin. Hitting right there. That's like the only spot where I see consistent flat, and then the ball just seems to perfectly glide right over by the hole. That's where I got my hole in one. If you do have the sniper, even if it's a lower level sniper, you're only going to need 1 or 2 bars of top spin or backspin. But because you get the longer ball guide, you'll be able to, adjust seeing where your ball guide is. So for this particular hole, I would also go with a wind reduction ball just to make your shot that much easier for the potential ace.
Yeah, and I will just build on the thing that I try to jump in with in the beginning, like as a birdie hole. In my opinion, from the second and from the third tee, I dislike this hole a little bit actually, because you need to rely on the bounces to be in your favor. If you're getting just slightly off base, then you can potentially put yourself into any of the bunkers that is there. Then you're going to have a big problem to even make the birdie. I will have a hard time to see many hole-in-ones here, but it's absolutely possible. Sure, even though it's shown a black line and there is a white line as well, but the 100% absolute perfectly blue line is showing the best way to play this hole, in my opinion. And it plays the same from the second tee. We're going to play, or sorry, the difference from first and second tee is that you're playing with a long iron from the first tee, wood club for the second tee, and depending on the ball that you're using from the third tee, it's either a wood club in max distance or a driver in minimum distance. So if to pick a bag for let's say Master, you pick a quarterback, or you pick the sniper as clubs, and use a wind resistant ball if you do have to, because you do want to minimize the risk of going into any of the bunkers. Take the birdie, be okay with the birdie. This is not a hole where you should be chasing the hole in one. Focus a little bit more about the other holes, in my opinion. So, hole number 4, and now we go over to the Namhe Cliffs, and you can find the Namhe Cliffs on Tour 5 for Rookie and Tour 10 for Pro and Expert. So, okay, interesting. How do we play hole number 4?
Okay, well, I'm not sure exactly what your the black line or the blue line is showing. I'm thinking it's the blue line is the one that I take. I know it's just hard to figure these things out when whether there's a bounce or a stop. The way I used to play it, and if you have a lower level club, you might want to try to land on the island to the right. Also, wind is going to determine this. However, again, we're playing rookie. We're talking rookie. Oh, I just lost my thing there. Let me put. All right, there we go. We're playing rookie, and because of that, with the favorable wind, we should be able to put full top spin on, full side spin on. Doesn't matter whichever one you have. I'm sorry, am I still live with you? Because my computer's
You absolutely live with me here.
okay. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I clicked the wrong button. I'm sorry. But anyway, yes, I love to jump. Your first bounce hits that island. Your second bounce rolls down that hill, probably about where that blue box is. I would bring the Hornet and try to chip in, get yourself a nice long chip in there, with the Hornet, or at least very close. So sorry I rambled. I was seeing things pop up on my screen and freaking out.
No,
That's the way to take.
yeah, no worries. That is how it's supposed to be before a tournament. We're going all haywire. So if we play this one from the second tee, or from the third tee here, of course, as RJ said, the wind is going to decide basically everything. The last two tournaments we have had this hole, we have had massive tailwind from second and third tee, so we were able to actually bounce on the island to potentially actually put ourselves on the green if you're having enough topspin on your drive. If we are having tailwind this time around again, I suggest that you use a big topper if you're playing from the second tee. If you're not having an Apocalypse level 6 or 7 or a Thor's Hammer level 6 or 7, because the topspin is the thing that we do want to have. If having any other type of wind than tailwind, then we need to play with either black line or white line. Then I want to make it clear for those that will just listen and not read the text guys. The black line is supposed to mean that we play to land on the island. The blue line is to bounce directly onto the fairway after. So if we're having side wind or like crosswind or headwind, then we try to land it on the island. If playing in Master, having some type of like headwind, then we will not be able to reach for the island. Then we need to play according to the white line. The white line is there as well if you, for an example, it doesn't matter which division you're playing, but if you feel unsecure of playing on that island, because it could be tricky sometimes to actually go there, bounce over or not, doesn't really matter, but could be a bit tricky, then the white line is there to kind of show that, okay, now we need to go full blast, we need to use a club with a lot of topspin, then we need to use a wood club with a lot of distance for a second shot, then we can still reach the green in two. It's just going to be a tiny little bit harder actually, especially for the second shot. I would pack my bag with clubs with distance. Again, the only difference would be if we're having some type of tailwind, then I'm going to pull off the big topper in Pro and Expert if I'm not having, again, the clubs that match the topspin. Hole number 5, we roll over to another Namhe Cliffs hole, and I would say this hole hasn't been featured that much in the tournament, but I don't know, do we like it or do we dislike it?
I like it because I know it. And what I mean by that is if you overshoot this hole, even just the slightest bit, your ball is going to roll pretty far away. I've lost quite a few shootouts in this before because that's happened to me, so I learned my lesson. And what I like to do, being the par 3 here, go with the Saturn or Backbone, something with a decent ball guide, and you want to put as much backspin as you possibly can fit so you do not clip the rough, and this will hopefully get your ball to stop just in front of the hole. If you're rolling beyond the hole, your ball's going to go your ball's going to go bye-bye. It may still be on the green, but it's not going to be the easiest putt, or you might even go onto the, well, probably not the rough, but, the fringe or whatnot. So I guess about 4 bars of backspin should be right about where the norm is, right where that black box is. Jump it right on over and, watch your opponent sweat it out with the harder putt while you're right there, or maybe you'll even get an ace.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I'm very happy that you described the way to play in Pro and Expert for me, then I don't have to take that. So I'm going to take Rookie and I'm going to take Master instead. So it's going to be some slight differences there. Like if you're playing Rookie, you're going to play with a short iron. This is the only shootout or like par 3 in the game that you're actually going to play with short iron. So it's not featured that much. So we're going to play that this shootout with max half a bar of backspin. Otherwise we're going to play with no backspin or no topspin whatsoever. Then we're going to go and get a decent roll. We're not going to go too far. We're not going to go too short. The only way I would add maybe a tiny little bit of topspin would be if we would be having like 5 miles per hour in headwind. But that will not be that featured, I think. I think it will be somewhere in between like 2 and 4 miles per hour. That's just my guess. But that is like when we play for Rookie. When it comes to Master, we're going to play with a wood club here. And then we do want to play with a wood club that do have backspin. Ball guide is very important. As RJ said, we are going to have to stay away from going too far. If we're going too far, we're going to roll down, we're going to have to overpower a putt, and that one we will miss 50% of the time. That's just how it is. So a wood club, sniper is my club to go with. Guardian for those that use the Guardian instead of the sniper, but sniper with that 4.5 ball guideline would definitely help. Think about the extended ball guideline and the compressed ball guideline depending if we're having headwind or tailwind when it comes to Master. So hole number 6, we actually discussed this one just before we started this recording, and we do have 2 lines here, and like, how can we maximize the opportunity here to make the eagle?
Well, I got to tell everyone out there the truth, and the reason we discussed this is because I've always ended up in the rough. But I've never played it in Rookie. I have been doing some studying on Rookie, and what I have found is if we go with the quarterback and bounce it right about where that first black line is, put some left spin on it, maybe a little bit of left curl. Just be very careful. You don't have to get all the way up there. That's one of the big keys to the black line. And then you got your second shot right there for the rough bump. We discussed the white line, which I believe I will be doing in Pro. But I'm going to listen to Tommy say that so I can watch this video again and do that before I take my shot.
Yeah, and it all comes down to the wind here, in my opinion, though. It's like, if we're having... I'm thinking basically for the second shot here, and if we're having like a wind that will be kind of northeast for our second shot, then it works better for us to play on the left side, but the drive is going to be hard. We're going to have to most likely overpower our quarterback if we're not having some slight tailwind for a drive. Then we're going to have to overpower our quarterback to give ourselves that room with curl, etc. But I like the white line, I really do. It's like with tailwind we can bounce on that tiny patch on the right side with a couple of bars topspin to put ourselves nicely with an open shot with our short iron for the pin. And if we're having some headwind here, we can actually still going over to that fairway piece that we do want to, and that is to use a club with a lot of topspin. For an example, the big topper would definitely be possible to make with maxed out, max topspin, really. But in the end, this is a hole where like you're going for the rough bump for the second shot. I do believe this is one of the easier holes that we do have, but the drive is the key. Put your drive on the fairway, you will have a good opportunity to make an eagle. If you put yourself in the rough, take the birdie, then you will have to be happy with it, basically. Hole number 7 here, and now we do have a par 3 again. I would like to call this one again a birdie hole, and I'm going to give my thoughts in the end, of course, about this one, but I will start with you, my friend.
Okay, well, if you belong in rookie, you probably shouldn't have a maxed out rocket. However, if you do, and if I'm saying this right, I hope not, or would it be a guardian? Because again, I'm playing pro and expert on so many holes, I don't want to take yours again.
Mm.
But anyway, I like to take, yeah, I guess it would either be a quarterback or a sniper, because wind is pretty much the same. I go with the white line and do the rough bump and hope that I can get as close to the hole to actually get it in. I do use the rocket from time to time just to finish that thought with a full backspin, but the rocket's got to be near max. But I'm not sure that's a shot that's available to rookies because it's a first tee. So Tommy, please help me clean up the mess I just created.
No worries, buddy. And I think the mess is created due to that you will be in between clubs when you play in rookie most of the time. It depends on which type of club that you're using, which type of ball, and therefore I of course have studied that one down. And if you're playing like with a sniper or you're playing with a viper that do not have that much distance or like power to say as a as stats, then you will have to play with a power 3 ball. For that will allow you to go for the rough bump with your wood club if we're having crosswind or tailwind. If having headwind, then we will still be having to play with our driver. If we're having a big dog, for an example, that do have more power, like let's say it has 180 power in power that it usually has, or kind of early it has 180 in power, and then we only have to use a power 1 ball, like a navigator, like a quasar, to be able to go for the rough bump with crosswind or tailwind. But again, if we're having headwind, then we need to play with a driver. But in rookie, like basically every single hole has been tailwind the last tournament, so I do believe we will have some type of tailwind this time as well. When it comes to pro and expert, we are either going to play with a quarterback doing the rough bump, or we're going to go with a maxed out rocket if we have one, to go max backspin on the island, like that small fairway piece just after the water there in the middle, and bounce it up to the green. Master, we do play with a Thor's hammer if we have that one. That is because we do want to have the backspin there as well. If not having the backspin on your driver in Master, then you will have to do a double bounce, or you have to rely on the rough bump. The reason I'm not like that pro the rough bump like it normally is that it is an inconsistent bounce. That sometimes it puts you all over the green, sometimes it put you close, sometimes it put it very short, and that is the same really for the fairway bounce. So that is a big reason why I don't see this one as my favorite hole, because no matter how you're going to play, you will not have this like line that you can really dial in for an hole in one. So take the birdie, be happy with the birdie, and focus on the other holes. So again, the par 3s in this tournament, like especially hole number 3 and hole number 7. Hole number 3 and hole number 7 is the same for me as, for the bounce there, no consistency. Take the birdie, be happy with it, and think about the ball that you're using, especially if you're playing from the first tee, being in between clubs or not. Otherwise, pro and expert, use a wind resistant ball. Give yourself that help to reduce the wind at least while playing. Hole number 8, we're going to end up with 2 of the Namhae Cliffs holes, and it was a long time ago we played both of them. Hole number 8, I don't even remember when we played it the last time, to be honest. I don't even think we played this one this year. So it's interesting. So I'm very interested to hear your thoughts how to play this one.
Well, I do remember playing this hole, and one thing that I always did wrong, I'm going to tell you how to play that way, because that's the only way I've ever played, and that is the black line. Now, in taking the black line, I always put full topspin on and wondered why 75% of the time I was using my rough iron to get onto the green. Not a big deal from terms of, it's easy to reach. However, it definitely lowers your opportunity, say if you were to use a Hornet or a Thorn from the same distance. The reason why I say I was doing it the wrong way, because I believe this tournament in particular is going to reward people who are aggressive. And that white line, if your wins are favorable to do so, which I believe in rookie and pro, you shouldn't have any problems. If you can get on the green, in one, which it looks like that's what the white line is doing, I would definitely have to take that shot. Take your chances. Don't be I don't want to say don't be cheap because it sounds like it's being negative, but use your good balls, because if you place high enough, not only are you going to replenish them, you're going to be upgrading your clubs with a good finish.
Yeah, and who will try to go for the green in one if we are having the win for it? Yeah, then it's me. I'm definitely going to try to do for that, go for that, and I'm going to, yeah. As for RJ as well, we're going to stream a lot this week that comes, and again, if having the tailwind for it, then definitely try to go for the green. You know, it is risky. I will have to say that, because if you miss it left, then you go out of bounds, and then you are going to have to try again because you're going to have the tailwind for the second shot as well. But you will be having the opportunity to bounce this one onto the green, or at least very close for a wedge for the pin, and that could be an easy eagle for you. And believe me, if getting tailwind, if you're playing pro or expert, because that is when the wind is going to be enough at least to reach over there. Might in rookie with a berserker ball or something like that, but then you will see people getting that easy eagle, and again, believe me, we'll need that eagle to win the tournament. So to have that in mind while going into hole number 8. But otherwise, we do play it on the right side according to the black line. Going to have a long iron in minimum distance, or a short iron in maximum distance, or like medium distance, minimum distance, depending on how far we will reach. No problem to reach from the rough, as RJ said, but we will of course at least give ourselves the opportunity, because if we do decide, like even with tailwind, to not play on the white side because you don't rely on your overpowering skills, then we at least need to put ourselves on the fairway so we can at least rely on the skills that we do have with our short iron. So again, as you can see with the balls here, I'm kind of suggesting a Titan or a Mauling with rookie. It depends again how you're going to play it. Titan if you want to reach over. Maybe a Berserk could be applied as well, depending on how, if you want to overpower or not. Pro and expert, then we're going to have a Titan or a Berserker. And the Berserker like for Tailwind, Titan for otherwise, Kingmaker or Berserker for Master. So it works the same. I hope we will get some Tailwind though. I love to be aggressive, and I know it is a bit sad when it comes to like the differences in Tailwind and stuff like that, but this is a hole that no matter what type of Tailwind we're actually going to get, everyone is going to be able to play the same type of shot, so there will be no like negative differences amongst the players on hole number 8. Hole number 9, Name Cliffs. I remember this one very, very clearly. The reason I do that is because I actually did hit an eagle twice on hole 9, 18 in the Creepy Cliffs when I scored minus 32 in Master, which has been my best score yet, which was also the time where there wasn't a bunch of tailwind and stuff like that. So this hole lies warm to me. And so I'm really interested to hear how we're going to play this one.
Well, I just said let's go aggressive. That's how you win tournaments. And now I'm going to go conservative. And the reason I'm going to go conservative here is because I don't see for us rookies the benefit, in weighing out the risk and the benefit and reward. I like taking the black line. Be very careful with your topspin, because that green actually slopes down and will take your ball into the water. So you want to land right about where that square, well, you want the ball to stop, actually, I should say, right about where that black square is. Bring the big dog with you just to make sure you have enough distance for that second shot. The only worry that you'll have is make sure you make a proper wind adjustment so you do bounce that ball between the sand trap and the rough to get onto the green in 2. and then you can have a decent opportunity at an eagle shot.
Yeah, this is an eagle hole. Even though it lies warm to me, this hole, most likely just because it was in that tournament when it went really well. But the black line, it will be the most common way to play it, and it might look very scary to see it down up there, to have to hit that specific spot. But I do believe like use some distance there for that shot. It's like we don't have to aim just by the end of that point. We can use a cataclysm or a big dog or an upgraded guardian to give ourselves the distance that is needed for the second shot. Have in mind we're playing downhill, so we'll have to add 10% on your adjustment on this particular drive. That's something that is very important to have in mind. So we're going to, from pro and expert team, we're going to play in max distance, then we add 10% on that adjustment. Master, we're going to have to play a little bit further behind, and then it's going to be a little bit different. But in the end, then we are just going to use more topspin and still going to adjust 10% more, as we're going to have the same type of distance with our club, of course. Second shot, we try to just bounce it over to the green. There is it's a bumpy road towards the green, and I would say make it stay close to the pin there. If you go too long, you will roll down into the rough on top of the green. If you go too short, you can stay in the rough just by the water or going into the water. I will have to mention the white line because it's written out there at least, and we need to. I need to mention it though, even though it might not be the best way. I would say master, take that thought away directly. I think it's too risky. If having like massive tailwind, nah, sure, that could be something. But otherwise, pro and expert, if having like some side wind to the left that also has some tailwind in it, then we could curl it around and put ourselves as far to the left side as possible on the second fairway. It's a tougher drive in my opinion, but the second shot, while bouncing on that tiny island there in the middle of the water, is actually easier than you think, and it's going to give you a consistent bounce towards the green, which you will not have by going according to the black line. But again, it's a more aggressive line, and it's still not going to give you a much easier albatross. But you know, we are fighting for the eagle here. Take the eagle on hole 9, and also when it comes to be the hole 18, and you go and you're going to see yourself absolutely not having a bad score compared to your opponents on hole number 9. So, okay, that was the 9 holes we're going to play. I will just like summarize it with like we have 5 holes of the Namhe Cliffs. That is tour 5 rookie, tour number 10 for pro and expert, which is the World Links. And when it comes to hole number 2 and hole number 3, which is the Kokasho Bay, those you can find on Asia Pacific. They are not available on tour 3, so rookie cannot practice those holes. You can only practice them on tour number 8. And then when it comes to 6 and 7, that is the Oasis, and you can find those on tour number 4, 6-star hotel for rookie, and tour number 9, 6-star hotel again for pro and expert. So any final thoughts, RJ, about the tournament?
Again, I like being aggressive on this particular tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's going to be minus 28s, minus 28s for your relatively average players that take the time to watch the videos and put together notes and things like that. So be prepared for some stiff competition.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you need to put the work in, otherwise you will not win. It's like there's no one in this game that can go in and just wing it and then way let's go for gold. It's going to take time. It's going to take notes. It's going to take determination, and of course some skill in the end, and a tiny little bit of luck maybe. But if you do the work, then you at least can't blame yourself if you're not winning. There are some excellent players in there. I agree. A general score for winning minus 28, around that in the different divisions, depending on the win that we're going to have, of course. So we say thank you both of us, and we hope that you found this video as the earlier ones as educated and good as you possibly thought. And if you do have any questions, make a comment in the comment section below. I will be streaming basically every single day. I might going to tune in for some earlier streams for you players that are from other parts of the world than like Europe and United States. So stay tuned for that. I don't have the complete schedule yet, but I will get it out there. But how are you going to stream, RJ? I know you're a late streamer on Monday, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I always have my doctor's appointments on Monday, so after 8 o'clock on Monday, and then I'd like to get on right around the 6 p.m. mark for the rest of the week. I'm also going to be streaming every day except for probably Wednesday. I hope to be qualified by then. That's just kind of a day to have in case, I don't qualify, which I really don't see that being an issue, because those of us that watch these videos definitely have an advantage over others that don't even know we exist.
I agree. So, thanks a lot, everyone. And let's, I will let you end it as always, RJ. So, how do we end it here on the channel?
Like that. Like that. Happy stroking.
Happy stroking, everyone.